Good afternoon. Thank you for attending this press briefing regarding a double homicide incident which occurred here in Riverside at 63 Forest Avenue. My name is Matthew Buckley. I'm the Director of Public Safety for the Village of Riverside. I am here to inform you of the arrest of Carl Curry, who was wanted by the Riverside Police Department for the murders of Jeremy Lane and Tiata Johnson. On Saturday, November 13th of this year at approximately 1 p.m., the Riverside Police Department was dispatched to 63 Forest Avenue for the report of a possible burglary to an apartment. Upon the arrival of officers, they were met by the caller, who was a relative of the victim. This relative went to the apartment because their phone calls were not being answered. As officers approached the unit in question, they noticed that the front door had been forced open. The officers then announced their presence and entered the unit to determine if anybody was inside. As they entered the bedroom, they discovered two victims who appeared to be deceased. The Riverside Fire Department paramedics were called to the scene and pronounced both victims deceased. This area now became a crime scene, and detectives from the West Suburban Major Crimes Task Force were called in to assist with the death investigation. The victims were then removed from the scene and transported to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. On Sunday, November 14th, an autopsy was performed by the Cook County Medical Examiner. The cause of death was ruled a homicide, and the victims were positively identified as Jeremy Lane, age 38, a resident of Riverside, and Tiata Johnson, age 31, a resident of Danville, Illinois. From the onset of this investigation, the Riverside Police Department was provided information which showed that this was not a random crime and that the victims were targeted by the offender. There were many parts of this crime that were substantiated through video recording, license plate reading technology, and social media postings. On November 19th, the Riverside Police Department obtained an arrest warrant from the Cook County courts for the arrest of Carl Curry for the charge of murder. As the investigation proceeded, Riverside Police Department notified the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force and worked together to locate this offender. There were several leads that were investigated and followed up upon until we received information that he may be hiding out in the Boston area. This cooperative effort and sharing of information between local and federal authorities proved to be crucial in this case. On December 9th, the Riverside Police Department was notified by the task force officer from the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Fugitive Task Force that the offender, Carl Curry, was taken into custody at his residence in Hyannis, Massachusetts. Mr. Curry was then transported to the lockup facility in Barnstable, Massachusetts. We will now be working to get Carl Curry extradited back to Cook County, where he will face charges related to this crime. This case actually started in Danville, Illinois on November 8th, when the offender, Carl Curry, was involved in an argument with Tiata Johnson. As a result of this argument, the Danville police were called to the residence, and Carl Curry was arrested for disorderly conduct. Once Curry was taken away by the Danville police, Tiata Johnson was in fear of him, so she drove to her friend Jeremy Lane's residence here in Riverside. She stayed with Jeremy thinking that she would be protected and that Curry would not be able to find her. Unfortunately, he did locate her and her protector, Jeremy Lane. I would now like to introduce a few of the many people that have worked this investigation and ensured that this case would be properly investigated and that the offender would be charged accordingly. Village President Joe Ballerine and the members of the village board, as well as village manager Jessica Francis, and all the employees of the Village of Riverside. Without their trust and support, we would not be successful. And when I say all the employees of the Village of Riverside, this was not just a police department work, and it wasn't just the fire department. We had our public works department out there helping block streets. This was an all-hands-on-deck case that everybody worked on together. I'd also like to thank the entire Riverside Police Department. Everybody took part and assisted in one way or another. But I would notably like to mention Deputy Chief Frank Lara, Commander Leo Coder, and Detective Jim Lazansky. Detective Lazansky worked tirelessly on this case, spending many long days and even longer nights spearheading this investigation. In fact, 2 hours ago, Commander Coder and Detective Lazansky just arrived back from Boston. So they were out there and they actually interviewed the offender. I'd also like to thank our neighboring departments who assisted us on the day of the incident. The Brookfield Police Department, North Riverside, Berwyn, Lyons, and McCook Police Departments, who all sent officers to assist us that day. I would definitely like to thank the members of the West Suburban Major Crimes Task Force. This group consists of detectives and evidence technicians from several suburban police departments. This group is represented today by Lieutenant Tony Greco, who is the commander of this West Staff group. I also want to thank our federal partners, who without their help, this would not have been successful. The members of the U.S. Marshal Great Lakes Fugitive Task Force, who are represented here today by Task Force Officers Lydia Cruz, Ken Halsall, Jason Norwick, and Karina Zamora. I'm sure when this is all done, they're going to be happy they're not receiving all the phone calls and text messages from us, because it was a constant sharing of information all hours of the day and night. I would also like to thank the family of Jeremy Lane and Tiata Johnson. They have all patiently worked with us. They've communicated with us on a constant basis, and they trusted us to find Carl Curry and bring him to justice. I am glad that this day is finally here. Jeremy Lane is a son, a brother, a cousin, and a friend to so many. Tiata Johnson is the mother of a 5-year-old daughter. She's a daughter herself, a sister, and a devoted friend. Jeremy Lane tried to do the right thing and protect his friend. He died next to her, but we all know that he is still next to her in a better place, keeping her safe. At this time, I will open it to any questions.
Matt, what needs to happen for the defendant to get back to the Chicago area?
So the question is, what's the extradition process to get Carl Curry back here to Cook County to face these charges? We are working currently with the U.S. Marshal Service as well as the Cook County, Illinois Department of Corrections to make sure that we get Carl Curry back here in a timely fashion.
So he's still in custody in Armstrong?
He is still in custody. It's a no bond warrant from that was issued by Cook County. It is a nationwide warrant on our murder charge. That is correct. Hearing no other questions, I want to thank everybody for coming here today. It's been a very long month for all of us as we work this case. I couldn't have done it. Our officers and detectives couldn't have done it without everybody's cooperation and help, and we truly appreciate that. This is something that is not normal to the village of Riverside. So having the proper people work this case, making sure things were done properly, and that we do have some resolution, but we still have a long way to go. We have a bad person that is now off the streets, a person that should probably not have been on the streets prior to this due to his past criminal history, but we are very thankful that he is now off the streets where he cannot hurt anybody for a long time. So thank you.